This meeting will be video recorded and broadcast over local access channel 8 and through the town website at www.eastham-mass.gov. And I will call the meeting to order. The Eastham Human Services Advisory Committee, January 8th, 2025. And we are all present, which is marvelous.
Considering the cold there.
Seeing how cold it is, and we don't have snow, which is thankful at this point. So, because if the wind would die, it wouldn't be anywhere near as bad. Yeah, it's the wind that's really making
What the
it
dogs
worse.
tonight?
Tonight.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it must have died.
Yeah.
It was freezing and I had a flashlight and it was dying.
That's
And
dangerous.
then it was an
cold.
awful noise around. And I was like, okay, girls, we gotta go back. We gotta go back.
Yeah, you're right. You've had enough.
Yeah,
I've had enough.
Yeah.
I'm done, girls.
All right, so we will get our
I'll pee.
minutes from the December 11th meeting later on, and so we'll review both of them next week. And Felice, did you get the email also from somebody in the town clerk's office? It wasn't Deborah. Okay,
Yes, I did.
and so you can send those electronically to her.
Well, I've done that in the past. I think after tonight's meeting, I'm just gonna bring in hard copies
Okay,
because they seem to be missing. This
okay,
happened a couple of years ago too, so
yeah,
they
yeah.
went
I didn't
into
even
the
look-
ether.
Yeah, I didn't even look at the list. I just figured at some point we would figure it out. And
Yeah,
I know I've got copies of everything too, so, and I'm sure you do. So, that will be good. They always like to
Thank
have
you.
company in town hall too. I mean, they sometimes I think they feel like they work in a vacuum, a few people come and go, but not a lot. So before we get, because the first person coming in is Jessica Greenberg from Mass Appeal. And she was going to come in, but she had to be home with the kids tonight, so. And we're gonna tell you made a good choice. Yes. But anyway, the Orleans, I did hear from the woman from the Orleans committee asking if we were, I had responded to her, but were we still interested in updating the application and such? And I did send back to her that yes, we were. I didn't commit to anything more than working on the application because, and I think that was basically the sense was just that the application was where we were going to be working. I think they meet tomorrow night. So then she was going to send me some dates. I know I'll be involved, and if anybody else wants to, I can let you know when the meeting is.
Yeah. Okay.
And we can figure it out. I don't know how much work it will take. It might not take more than a couple of meetings to figure out what needs to be in it, I don't know how it will all work out. And if it seems like it gets to be overwhelming, then, it's also, we can back away from it and such, but I do want to find out if she's ever asked, like Wellfleet and Truro, and Provincetown to be involved in it, because they do the same
The same
thing.
thing.
Yeah.
And if we do the work, they, they might want to have some
Same.
input, but also I think they might be very willing to work, have one application also, because that's the purpose, is to have it go across multiple towns.
Yeah, makes it easy for the organizations to know they have a consistent one application.
You're right, at least the basic piece of it.
Yeah.
And then there would be a separate piece for.
Well, they'll have to go in and say for Eastham and give
Yeah.
the counts and
Yeah.
populate all that, but.
And that's easy enough to do if.
Right, if it's,
you
Well, the State Cultural Council has a uniform online application.
Oh, for the cultural council, okay.
Yeah, at the state level. So I think,
Uh-huh.
I mean, I haven't looked at it in years. And at that time, around COVID time, web forms were changing drastically. So I'm sure they've ironed out the bugs,
Mhm.
that were present at that time. But it was essentially a mirror image of our application. Um,
I'll look at
Yeah.
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 And I guess I remember thinking at the time, how much detail, that is really necessary to justify these, relatively small amounts of funding.
For the cultural,
And yeah, and that requires so much effort on their part, on the applicant's part. Um,
well, because it's usually oftentimes an individual.
right. Sometimes people work on it together, but I just wondered if it has to be as complicated as it is,
Yeah, and
especially,
maybe
you know,
that's exactly, that's the thing that, the pieces that we need to be thinking about is what is the really important information that we want to know. I mean, we certainly want to know, the relative, the facts that relate to Eastham residents and the Eastham use of an agency.
right.
But, sometimes, I mean, and I think a little bit of background information, like the mission and an overall description of what they do, I think is a good way to start out with reminding all of us what it is, the purpose of the agency. But, sometimes some of the next one, the needs and such can get so involved for
Right.
some of the agencies to actually justify that maybe that's.
Are you talking about like
Yeah,
residents
with that,
served in a fiscal year?
well,
or-
then our second one, describe the community's need for your
Oh.
services. Oh. Okay, so we have somebody waiting for us. Include a description of the clients served. And that it's probably still good information, but we might say, I don't know if we need to try to give them a limit. Or, some of the agencies have it in more of a boilerplate kind of thing that they can just cut and
Right,
paste, put
right.
into a document, the bigger ones.
Right.
So, because I think that that's also good information. I think ours pretty much gets to
And
the
nitty-gritty,
gist of what
right,
we
right.
need to
Yeah.
get it.
Mhm.
Let me, this should be, Jessica. Or we'll see who it is.
It's coming in. She's muted.
She will.
Oh, it's so exciting.
Unmute and start. video.
Hello there.
Hi.
Hi,
Hey,
Jessica.
it worked. Good for you.
Right. Let me turn the volume up here.
Okay.
Okay, there we go. Hi.
Hello there.
Nice to meet you all.
So can you see the room here?
Let me see if I can get to. Yes, I can. I can see 4 of you.
Oh, okay. Well,
Okay.
there's 6 of us sitting here at the table.
Oh,
And
hello, the other 2 of you.
we have Felice, who's also remote.
Oh.
Here.
Hello. Hi.
Yeah, so we're gonna quickly go around and give our names, just so you know, and, because I know, well, first
Okay.
of all,
I'm Ellen,
and she's new this year.
and I'm new this year. That's
Yeah.
right. I'm old, but I'm new.
Yeah,
Hi, I'm Dee. I'm Beverly. Mary Jane.
I'm Hilda.
And Kate. And then you
And we
can see Felice.
Yeah.
Hi,
Yeah.
So welcome, Jessica, and we're really happy that you were able to, still join us tonight.
Yes, I apologize for not being there in person, but if I had come in person, I'd have 11-year-old twins with me. So
Well, they would have been welcome, but I don't,
Yeah,
you needed to
a big
stay
little
home.
board.
It's really cold out.
Yeah.
it's
It's
really
fun. So if you want to give us a quick update, on what's going on with Mass Appeal and how renovations going for after the.
I can tell you now, after having last seen you a year ago, Mass Appeal is a joy to my soul. Just absolute joy. Being there every day, working with the community, checking in with them, seeing what their needs are, and knowing that Mass Appeal has such a strong foundation that we are able to meet the needs of the community. It's just absolutely remarkable. And while Mass Appeal remains the same spirited little place that she always was, but our reach is getting a little bit bigger. So I think that that's really exciting. I think that I had spoken to you guys about what I thought growth was for Mass Appeal and that I wasn't sure what that meant. Um, Now I know that growth for Mass Appeal doesn't look like a bigger room, a bigger place. It doesn't look like necessarily like even um, more clients necessarily, but being able to do more for the clients that we do have, being able to reach out to the elementary schools to provide for children there whose parents may not know about Mass Appeal or can't make it or don't feel comfortable. Once we can get them in the door that way. I have a board that is phenomenal now. We've got some new members, some young gals that have babies. So I'm really excited about that. We have some gals from Provincetown. We just got a new um, treasurer who is really a treasure. And we have a new budget. I have it with me here. But our board meeting is next Tuesday, so we've not voted on it, so I can't actually give it to you, but I can share with you. And it's accurate, and it was a real labor of love, but I couldn't be more pleased that Mass Appeal is in a place where she is to do what she's doing in the community, and I stand in awe of what we're doing. I'm just filled with joy. I really truly am.
That's fantastic. I mean, it obviously your passion for the place certainly comes through when you're talking about it, but it's great to have somebody who's really gonna help, say, with the funding, with the monies, to make sure that that is tracked well, and
Mhm.
certainly takes a little pressure off your shoulders, for one thing.
Absolutely. Well, and I think that last year I had just begun my education in QuickBooks, and now I'm proficient in QuickBooks. I can do everything related to managing the finances at Mass Appeal. I feel confident that I am the leader that Mass Appeal needs, yet I'm still like a volunteer at heart. And I have to say our board has just these ladies have worked so hard to work with me and together to really create a cohesive board. We get work done, and we're smart with the funds that we have. And getting the newest girls in really showed to me that the board was ready and willing to accept some new faces.
Yeah,
Then
yeah.
get a treasure I mean, I have had such a blast with her, showing her everything that I've learned on QuickBooks and how I put together, like if you look under town grants, Eastham has a place, and then I can see the history of Eastham and she's like, look at that, it's all here. And I'm like, I know it's all here. And so it's incredibly rewarding to have a friend and a colleague doing that with me for Mass Appeal's benefit. I think when I last saw you guys, it really felt like something was missing, but I didn't know what it was. And it was that cohesive board where we're all working together for the benefit of this tiny nonprofit with such a big heart. So, I mean, I hope you guys all come and visit, because it just feels like you're walking into this very safe place where you're loved and wanted and you get free clothes. So just remarkable. Absolutely.
It's such, as you say, to have some more young people there and such, for one thing, then they feel welcomed to come and use it. And then through their network too, other people are going to hear about it. And also recycle some of their things there too. So it all sort of snowballs when you bring in some new people.
It really does. And the Joey is our newest board member, and she's a young mom. She's got a baby and a toddler. And before she was even on the board, I could tell that she was having an influence, because gals would come in and be like, Joey sent me, and then those gals turned to tell their friends. And then suddenly I've got, 10 more clients, I think that when I filled out my Eastham residents served in the past fiscal year for you guys, do you have that paperwork in front of you that it says quarter and then I wrote first, second, third, fourth on it? And you see how I gave you guys new categories. One says household, one says adults, and one says children.
Yeah.
So what we've begun to do now, that Mass Appeal can't give you unduplicated clients because we don't ask for last names. They don't have a check-in number or anything. So what I have done in the last year since I saw you was I really thought about, how do I show the board and the towns what the impact is that we're having, and what are kind of our geographic, I don't know, the word I'm trying to say. So when you look and you see it says first quarter number of Eastham residents served 210. That's the amount of physically people walking in, writing down Nancy, and then writing down Eastham. So when Nancy checks in and she writes Nancy Eastham, she will then put how many children she's shopping for and how many adults she's shopping for. So then you'll see the number where it says household. Those are the actual representative of the family that came in. So when it says 210 in the first quarter, we had 210 people from Eastham that could have been a duplicated client coming in 2 or 3 times in that month or that quarter, but it would be 210 visits representing 210 households, either that, some of them are repeats, but in Eastham itself. And in those 210 households, they're letting me know that there's 300 adults in that household and 116 children in that household. And it's pretty much the way I'm looking at your numbers. And it's interesting to see that the numbers kind of stay the same with the kids. There's a little bit differing between the kids, but it's really because there's a core group of kids in Eastham whose parents come and they're part of our programs where their kids get underwear and shoes and jackets. So it's been really, really just wonderful to see Mass Appeal create this network of children and families that rely on Mass Appeal to come get what they need, on a quarterly basis with the children's program. And I estimate that we have about 76 children on the Outer Cape that have families that come in and shop specifically for those kids, who all of them get a winter jacket, all of them get winter boots or school shoes or underwear in that program. So now I can kind of see how kind of like who we're supporting and how many people, and it's just interesting to see it that way. And I hope that would give you guys a little bit more insight into what's really going on, instead of giving you guys this one humongous number. And you're like, how can 10,000 people be here?
No, it does help to have it broken out, and it is interesting to see. I mean, it's so amazingly well used. You
It-
know, a lot of families are ending
Mhm.
up there and realizing that it exists and that they can, you know, it can make a difference. And you know, it's marvelous that it's you know, there.
Yeah, it's a really special little place. We've definitely, interestingly enough, I've seen a lot more families from Brewster coming in, almost to where I'm like, do I need to make a Brewster category? Because I just put Brewster and Chatham, and anybody that's not the Outer Cape, they're considered Cape Cod towns. And then I have out of town, but I have to let Brewster know we've got lots of people coming in. So I think that that's probably just a lot of it is due to those new mums sharing with their friends and social media. Um, it it's just it really is a joy, and watching the numbers, knowing that I can understand, I can create a budget, I can go into QuickBooks and I could tell you everything in a specific category, that I have an understanding of mass appeal, not just as a volunteer but as the director now. It's kind of full circle for me. So I mean, I'm just excited to see what we can do next.
Yeah, yeah, they're very lucky to have you, to
Oh,
have interest and your, seeking to really understand, just as you say, what to do next. I mean,
Jessica, where do you get your coats and boots and things?
so
Updated?
right now, so the underwear with the previous director, Rebecca, may God bless her soul, she had got the underwear strictly from Carter's. Carter's started to be problematic for me. They weren't delivering and I wasn't able to get anyone on the phone. So then I started going to Target. So now at the moment, m- all of the children's underwear that I get in, packages of like 6 or 8 come directly from Target. Um, and I don't get a discount or anything. I'm not quite sure how to go about doing that with them, but with places like Kohl's where I get shoes from, or I found a great place, Sam's Club, I think
Yeah.
it's called. It's
Uh-huh.
online. I think there's one in like Providence.
Yeah.
But I went on to Sam's Club and I found children's winter boots and they were like 17 each. So I just got us a little membership, which, the difference between purchasing there or getting them from like Macy's or something was huge. So I just seek out the deals and I constantly shop for the best deal to just utilize the money we have, let it make it go further. Because winter boots are definitely the most costly item that we purchase as far as shoes. But
Going to the manager at Target and asking them how you would go about getting a discount? There has to be
yeah,
a way.
I think I'm now at a place where I can talk the business talk enough to go up
Good.
to them and be like, hey, this is who we are.
Yeah.
Like I'm trying to do that with Stop and Shop right now. I'm trying really hard to get Stop and Shop to support our menstrual equity program by giving us in-kind donations of menstrual products.
Yeah.
But I have to be patient. But that was my first go in trying to see how can I network and collaborate with large organizations. I thought I would try Stop and Shop first with menstrual products, but I haven't really heard back. So I think that Target will be a tricky one, though. I know there are shoe companies, like there's one maybe called Timberland that,
Yeah.
ones that are more local.
Yeah.
Certainly, if you have any ideas for local companies that were, started in Massachusetts or something, I think it would be beneficial for me to reach out to them and
Have you tried the discount shoe store in Orleans? Because I've
big,
gone
big.
there. They have designer shoes, they have children's shoes, they have all kinds of sneakers, boots, and other kinds of outdoor clothing, and they're already, let's say at a 70%
Right.
discount from retail. But
Oh,
they're a Massachusetts family, I think. I forget the name,
is it
but
Wendy's?
West,
Westies, yeah.
Okay, I
They're
never
a,
thought of that.
No clothes.
they're a
No
Massachusetts
clothes.
family, and
Yeah.
I know that the family has been very generous in the past with donations for medical causes,
Kids
you know,
shoes.
such as the Jimmy Fund and that type of
Oh.
thing. I don't know. I'm assuming they're still held by the family,
Yeah,
but I mean, you could go in there and you might find bargains yourself, you
I
know,
never thought
for,
of that.
yeah. But maybe from a business standpoint, they would be
Hmm.
interested in helping you out.
I will, especially when they're like, "What do we do with?"
They have kids
I
shoes.
mean, I'm wearing their sheepskin
Yep.
slippers right now.
Oh,
Oh,
Please, I don't think they have children's shoes.
At Weston.
Yes, they
At
do.
Westie.
They do have some, I think.
Yeah,
I'll get.
Maybe
I never
some.
saw it.
yeah. Plus, they have other, I think it depends. It's like any big discounter. It depends what's in their truck, but they have mittens, they have, you know, house slippers, they have usable items that
You know,
may be
you know,
useful for this group.
we always need gloves. I'm back to it. I was speaking with Christine, our president of the board today, and we're going to have a chit chat with the board next Tuesday and ask maybe if they would, you know, allot a specific amount of funds so we can go buy a bunch of gloves for children and adults because
The other place to consider that has clothing, it looks like it's selling hardware, is that discount store in Chatham on Route 28 near Max Seafood. They carry a lot of clothing and household goods and supplies and
oh,
food. And I mean, you can go even, you know, you go there for hardware, let's say, you'll come out with a basket full of other things.
Oh, it's like Ocean State Job Lot?
Yes, yeah.
Oh.
And
Clothes.
they're, again, they are a New England based company,
oh, that's
and they may, even though they're already selling, you know, cheaply, they might like this affiliation for publicity reasons, if not
right.
else.
Puppies
You're
and.
so right. I didn't even think about just like really going to.
And they have a ton of clothing. They have a lot of, I've gotten gloves there. I've gotten, you know, hardware there. Not
Okay,
because
Yeah,
I'm
gloves and stuff like that.
you know, not necessarily looking for the price, but they have brand names
right,
and
right.
they have a lot of household goods.
Oh, a lot of kids.
And because they're buying unsold goods,
Yeah,
Right, right.
I found a huge, I mean, this goes back a while, but I used to go there with my mom because they had a lot of European imports.
Oh,
yeah, well,
You know,
they've gone past that. So we'll,
anyway,
if we come up with any good, more ideas, we'll let
oh,
you know,
you.
Jessica.
Yeah.
But it
I-
is,
That's great.
it makes a big difference to
I
know.
mean, yeah, it may be worth your driving there just to take a look
Yeah.
and see if it's worth
Absolutely.
your while.
I will. I take all of your thoughts and everybody's and I usually seek out all of them and see what's going on. This is great. I don't know why I never thought of Westies, but I certainly want to get in touch with them and see how they can help. So that's such a great idea. Thank you for that.
And does anybody else have any other questions? It's amazing what you do on
Yeah.
not a lot of money.
Right. That's what I'm
That's my
saying.
question, actually.
That's what I'm saying.
I see that you didn't ask for anything more than what you asked for last year. You asked for 3,500 last year and 3,500 again this year.
Yeah.
Mine was, I thought it was 28 last year.
We ended up
But-
giving them. That's what we
Thank you.
gave
The
them.
award was
There you go.
3,500.
We
Okay,
awarded.
okay.
Right.
Right.
So we asked for 28 and you guys gave 35 and I thought that it was appropriate. We're tiny and you have a lot of other people that need to have money from the same, from the same pot and it just for me, I asked the town of Orleans for more. But I felt that the like Provincetown and Wellfleet, and Eastham, really, you guys were giving us what I thought was like kind of like the cap of what you could expect for a tiny nonprofit. So it led me to stay with the 35, like I did with the other towns, with Provincetown.
Okay, proportionately, how do the number of people that you serve in Eastham measure against the number of people or families that you serve in, say, Orleans or Provincetown?
So the highest
Number?
Wellfleet is our highest,
Of course,
And-
yeah.
and then Eastham, and then Truro, then Provincetown, and then Orleans. So
Okay.
Eastham are our two major client list. We actually are. I'm actually working with Nurse LeBranch at Eastham Elementary.
Oh, yeah, just great.
Provide she had 10 kids that had wish lists, so I
Oh,
the board and they're like, you go ahead, fill it all. And so I went shopping for these kids and got them jackets and boots, and one little kid wanted a hat that had a kitty ears on it, so my girls helped me with that. But that's what I'm talking about, like that kind of reach we can have, where the nurses feel comfortable coming to me and saying, this is what we need for the school. So I was really happy that Nurse LaBranch let me take that.
A
Do that.
wonderful person that would be very attuned with the kids.
Yeah, right. And so
And
she
really understanding that they, like for them to make a wish list as to
Yeah.
what, so they have some say in what might come their way. And to say, I want to have, I'm
I
thinking,
know, it was so fun. And I did that for Truro, and we ended up helping 30 children in Truro.
Wow.
You know,
Children, Truro School.
it's so cool. It's so
Yeah.
great. I love that we're creating relationships with the elementary schools, because that's our target audience is the kids. And
Yeah.
sometimes, like Nurse LaBranch was sharing with me that sometimes when she calls me and asks for boots or jackets, or sometimes they're asking for bottoms for kids that get wet in the mud or have the pee accidents, or that families that they know won't feel comfortable with charity or how they perceive it. But if she can just kind of be like, oh no, your boots got wet, I just happen to have another pair here for you, then we can meet a need without having to draw attention to the lack for that family. So it's a beautiful alliance. I'm so thrilled. I'm just hoping I can get Orleans and Wellfleet and Provincetown to let me know what their needs are in their schools, so that we can work to provide that too.
yeah, that's great. I
Awesome.
see.
Awesome.
I'm thinking of my grandson's stuff, that, they live not on the East Coast. They often recycle their things to other
Right.
cities. But I'd love to grab his things and bring them here and say, okay.
I have this one gal who lives in Connecticut, Kathleen, and she just sent a huge box of her granddaughter's clothes. I'm like, you spent like $25 to mail these to me. Thank you. So it's really sweet.
Well, she probably would have rather have spent the money on the gas and actually come to the Cape.
Right. Yeah.
I have to tell my daughter to do that.
Yeah.
My granddaughter has incredible clothes.
Yeah, they can have some, my grandson, a lot of them, his jeans and his t-shirts and stuff, but he's got plenty, and it really, once he outgrows them, they're all in such good shape.
They're in
It's
good
like-
shape, yeah.
And I know that my daughter-in-law really, she has her hands on, where they should
Needed.
go to, but,
Mhm.
She could
It's
spread
not-
it around, right?
but she's in Seattle, so I can't, it
Oh,
costs a
oh,
lot to
that's
send them
kinda
here.
far.
Yeah.
To send
Maybe
old
the next
clothes.
time I fly out
visit.
there, I'll
Yeah.
bring an extra
Yeah.
suitcase. to
There
bring it.
you
There you go.
So, all right, if we don't have any more questions, we can let you get back to the kids.
Aw.
And, we're very thankful that you did, join us.
Yes, I'm
We
glad.
love your passion and
Yeah. Yep.
it's fantastic. And, as we have said before, we're the advisory committee and what we figure out in our budget,
Mhm.
we pass it on to the
Sure.
and the town administrator. And so this funding is for the beginning, it's the new fiscal year of July and probably
Right.
not until next September will actually see it. So I hope you're sending in your quarterly reports when you to Kayla at the town administrator's office. I'm sure you have been doing it because she's trying to stay up on making sure that the funding happens.
We always receive, a check from Eastham quarterly every 3 months.
That's great.
Yeah, you guys are excellent. You're actually the first. You guys are definitely, Kayla's definitely, organized.
Good. That's good to hear.
Yeah, she's great. She's great.
Yeah.
So I do have my new budget and it does put us a little bit higher. I don't know what the last budget was, but it was a mess. It is a mess. And we knew that. That's why we have a new treasurer. So as soon as I give this budget to the board next Tuesday and they approve it, then I will be able to send it to you guys properly and you'll have the
Yeah. Send it to me on my email as an attachment and I get it to everybody.
That'll be perfect. I'll do that. So yeah, expect it next Wednesday when I get into the office after the board meeting.
We thank you for that. And it'll be good to see how you've gotten everything all organized.
Oh my gosh, I know. They were like our new treasurer, she's from Eastham. Her name's Nancy Gralla. I don't know if you know her. She was like, go Mass Appeal. This all looks wonderful. She was like, this is all just perfectly wonderful. So we're excited.
That's good. That's good. And because I remember when you very first took over and, as Rebecca, sadly had passed away, but it was just like, you've come so far and I think that it's been a great thing for the organization. And I'm sure Christine is excited to see how it's the little thing that she started so many years ago is now growing and doing well.
Yeah, she's wonderful. I just spent the whole day with her this morning. She says hello.
Okay, good. Well, next time you see her, tell her that we say hello back.
I will. Okay, well, come into Mass Appeal and shop, okay?
Okay. Or drop
Bye.
things off to
Thank
you.
you.
But Thank you very much.
Thank you.
My friend.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Good job.
I don't know how to hang up. There it is. Makes it easy. Okay, goodbye, my love.
Go in.
Oh, so sweet.
Still there.
She didn't hang up.
Oh no, it says leave meeting. Oh, okay, okay, bye. Leave me.
There you go.
I am so happy that she has not lost.
Wow.
Like her
Yeah.
enthusiasm.
She's
Oh my
amazing.
God.
She's amazing.
How lovely she is. I was so afraid she was gonna get on and be like, oh.
Yeah.
What am I-
This is awful. She was a mess, wasn't she?
Well, because she had just taken over, remember? Yeah,
She was
yeah.
so enthused.
I know.
See,
Yeah.
wonderful. Yeah.
Well,
14 grand.
I ended up just meeting her at Mass Appeal and yes, and
You
it
got the
was,
3 bears.
Tell me why you all immediately
was
said
good
that, yes,
heavens.
Wellfleet would use the most of her service.
Yeah.
Why?
that's a
Probably
good
they
question.
will.
because it's in
It's
Wellfleet.
close, yes, it's close. to
Oh.
Right by the pot store and Dunkin' Donuts, like.
Oh, I'm thinking,
got
do
that
they
whole
have that
crowd.
many more kids
Yeah,
than we do? I was
no,
thinking just
it's
the
because
opposite,
it's
that
right
we-
Location.
Then it's right there. It's
And yet
right
they
there.
give a heck of a lot more than we do.
They do.
Yeah.
Right,
And I have no idea what their overall budget is.
right. Well, how many,
Interesting.
So it'd be interesting to see
Yeah.
that, but
that's a
and
big
where else
staff.
Yeah,
Oh, no, I'm looking at the wrong one. Sorry.
but the bank, Siemens Bank is very involved and such too with them and.
I see where Cape Cod 5 gives them money,
So,
too, which is
Yep.
nice.
We have more
Yes.
money, we should give it to
Yeah.
them.
they could get anything, you know, she's talking about the female menstrual. If they could get any of that from the food pantry.
The food pantry, they do,
They
but they
themselves
don't have a
have
grant for
Yeah,
it.
they have.
You know, the food pantry
gets
does
it.
pretty well with
I
that.
wonder where they get
I
theirs
wonder who
from.
the food
But
pantry
they
got.
were having
Well,
an
maybe
issue
know
with
where
some
to
of it
ask.
at the food pantry too, at one thing.
They get, don't they, how did the food pantry get
But-
it? Did they have a
but
grant
weren't
as
they-
well?
I wonder.
One family, I think,
Gave
gave.
them money.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
here it's the
yeah.
Cape Cod.
Well, that's
But I
what they
wonder if
have here.
CVS, Walgreens, all those big
Cape Cod
companies,
Drive.
I would think. that they-
CVS is mean. though.
Yeah.
CVS
They're
means
assholes.
what's employed, yeah, that is, that's correct.
Yeah,
They're the most expensive.
right,
Yeah.
but then she's gone to Stop and Shop, which is hard. And I can see her, you know, it's like,
Could be, yeah.
but she should go with, say, Christine, or this new woman who's the, you know,
treasurer.
the two of them
Mhm.
together.
Yep.
And really work on them, because I think Target
Yeah, for sure.
would get into
Or
it.
BJ's,
you know.
I don't know about BJ's, aren't they a national
BJ's?
company?
I don't-
Costco is
Yeah.
really.
Costco?
That's probably what's hard when it's these big giant companies is that, you know, there's nobody to talk to. They're all like,
Yes.
I don't make that.
I don't make that
I don't
decision,
keep
yeah,
going
yeah,
up with
yeah.
it, but-
That's
probably-
They
Yeah.
have so much,
Yeah.
but they have,
Yeah,
so
I-
much they
I
have
don't
to
know.
use locally on page.
So,
Right,
I would
but a
get-
lot of companies do have on their website.
Get on
you
a
can
website,
apply
yeah.
Yeah.
there.
Find something.
But, you know, to get a
Doing a
bunch
good
of
job, though.
shoes
She'll
and
get there.
stuff, or a bunch of winter boots. Seems as
I don't know
though
how she does it with the amount.
Yeah,
was looking
$60,000.
at salary,
$14,000.
Is her is part-time?
I
Is that
hope so.
just for her?
That's
Just
for,
for-
Yeah,
And I was gonna ask her how many
And
hours she
she
puts
did
in, and I bet she
art
puts
school
in
to it.
30 hours. if
oh,
that's
Yeah,
all.
absolutely.
yeah.
It's, I think she's there 5 mornings a week, and then
Yeah.
she's, you know,
She doesn't get a.
Is it
one
open 5
benefit,
mornings a
not
week?
one.
No.
No retired.
not
No,
maybe,
it's like-
maybe at least.
And she's
one or
Yeah,
two.
it's quite a
Okay.
few.
Oh,
about her. Very enthusiastic. She's really kind of inspirational.
Yeah, she's
I
lovely.
think she's like, she really is when you talk to her, she's so happy.
I know it. I know.
You almost worry, don't you?
Oh, stop. That-
She's young.
Start giving her pills over here. Don't invite her over, because she'll fill down.
It's a great year. Why
Yeah.
wouldn't she
Well,
be
I
happy?
I
For
spent the
what she
whole
was
day
last
with the
year.
Council on Aging and the Friends of the Council on Aging, so I'm a little.
You're a little tarnished.
Yeah.
We got it. We got it. We got it.
I have no idea what
What
I
people,
can't
yeah.
imagine.
the Friends.
Oh, I have some sense because I know some other people on the board, not the friends.
You're learning.
She spends
You're learning it too.
$2,400
And they, that one
Yeah,
thing that
more than
happened,
I
like
wanna
with the
know.
luncheons and everything, and it was the friend, yeah. Yeah, we
Grant
gave her
paid
Paula Brun.
menstrual supplies,
great.
She can,
menstrual supplies, $372.
Remember, this
she
is,
does have some good ideas.
No, it doesn't sound like
remember, this is
anything.
being-
I haven't.
But I was
seen it.
thinking for
Yeah.
just
very
because she
expensive,
she
and
had
that
written
would
to me
cover
saying that she
300
couldn't
bucks.
make the meeting because she was single parenting and would have, and I'm thinking. But she said for tonight, so I'm hoping that it's just that her husband is
Yeah.
at a meeting himself or something like that, you know, because it was like,
I didn't have the impression she was a single parent.
no. No, because that wasn't the case before that, but I just didn't want it to be something that's occurring, you know, because she doesn't deserve it. She's
Oh, she's the sweetest thing.
funny, guys. But anyway, so
At one point, I was taking notes about the meeting today, and I'm like, I want to slam my head against the table. Yeah,
nobody's watching us on TV.
we are, I know, we are being recorded.
All right, let's be professional again, ladies.
Okay, get back to
That's how the
work.
meeting was going.
All right.
My notes today don't say anything about that.
Okay, so we have, next will be Erin Sullivan from the Children's Place, and she is the new
Oh, they're lovely too.
director. Because we've had Cindy Corrigan before, and I know another Erin Sullivan.
So do I.
Pretty sure this is not the same.
Not the
Erin.
same.
Right,
The
yeah.
same
That's
It
what
looks
I'm saying,
like,
that's her.
because the other Erin Sullivan is still Delight, but I don't think it
Although
is.
when you know people with the same name,
Well, Aaron Sullivan's kind of.
That's
Yeah,
pretty
it's,
common name.
I know.
yeah.
Sullivan and
But
Aaron.
anyway, so if we get to
Kind of goes to-
It's like Patrick,
Average.
you know, like Patrick,
Sullivan.
Patrick Sullivan.
We'll
Yeah.
see.
John
But
Sullivan.
the-
Four. Sorry.
You need to expand your social.
to hear what, you know, because they've just taken on so many new people at the children's place and see, because
Yeah, they have
they're-
big staff. Wow.
Yeah, they do.
Amazed.
Because they're doing, besides just their childcare, they've really gone on to
Yeah.
a lot of
Yeah,
other
what-
family
what
support
family
things and such.
recovery
and,
support.
It's
um,
incredible what they're doing.
Yeah,
Well, the town is such a great package for young families.
families, yes.
That package with, they have childcare.
But
several other
the
things.
monies and stuff.
Yeah, the money that
help
they give
them.
to the young
Yeah,
families
yeah,
is
and
wonderful.
it does really make, to help
Yeah.
them, because the chunk, it's huge.
Mm-hmm.
But if you get anything to help them, and then the after-school program is now
Right.
part of the rec department, so that you know,
Yeah.
I think they still have to pay some money for that, but again, I'm pretty sure that package includes
Yeah,
some money for
think
the
the package is-
after-school.
a value of close to
Yeah.
5,000.
And that makes such a
Which is
difference to a
incredible.
family to have after-school care, because those are the years
Yeah,
that really get to be tricky, and you really want, you know, by then, as a parent, you might be ready to be back at work, even if you maybe tried, you know, couldn't
Yeah.
afford or find the care for a younger child. Once they're in the public school, you want to be able to work later, because certainly those hours are not.
So
Young
fun.
man
This thing, look
came
at this.
Last year, and I think the year
$2
before,
million.
and he ran an after-school program. at
The
the-
Nauset adults, the Nauset together we can.
yeah.
That's, it's,
You don't believe it?
He doesn't do it, but no.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't
Or you
think-
think it's,
I'm not sure they're doing it this year, because I think that's not available, that space.
They had a sign,
it's
you know,
on
the
staff.
restrooms are in
got a
Orleans.
lot of money.
When you go in there.
That's where it used to
Used to
be.
be, but there's still a sign on the door.
Okay,
Well, I
but
was-
they
could've
did not
just left
have
this
the
on.
funding, but
$7
again,
million.
that was a program
I'm
that
just
was
always
looking to
amazed.
be taken over by
Yeah.
Orleans
rearranged.
Recreation.
Yeah.
And potentially that has happened.
I was in Chocolate Sparrow, I don't know.
grants, not from the towns.
No, kids were already back in school. And I have to tell you, there were, without exaggerating, 20 middle school kids.
Yeah,
in
wow.
there. And in fact, we walked in and there wasn't a table to be found. And there was an older couple sitting there. My husband walks with a cane and that kind of thing. So there was an older couple sitting and she said to me, just move those coats, just move them. They've been there for a half an hour, but no kids. The kids put their coats out.
Oh,
and
the
they
service, they receive, oh, the ghost
Oh.
hotels.
and she said, they go, she's taking out the door. She says, just take that tape. It's like, okay. And I was,
I know.
and I felt, you know, very good about Chocolate Sparrow. not
God
really
bless
kicking
them.
out.
Right.
They've had to work at it.
Yeah, I'm sure
Over
they
time.
have.
Yes, I'm sure it's difficult
There
for them
wasn't
because they
training.
must lose business.
They have to
Right.
lose business, people get annoyed.
But the community support that they're doing, letting those kids be there is amazing.
Yeah,
Just amazing. And I would say there were a lot of kids sitting at tables, and I would say maybe 2 or 3 had maybe like.
yeah, I know,
Right.
because also you don't,
That's
the kids don't have the money
That's putting
to
in place.
to
Buy
buy
stuff
that
there,
stuff.
so they're kind of just.
And at that point, you're hoping they're not really drinking coffee already, if they're,
I
Yeah.
gave them coffee, do you mind?
you could have had
You
coffee.
bought them all an espresso?
Thanks, Brenda. I fathers would appreciate that.
Oh, we're really doing well with our meeting today, so. Erin, oh, we have somebody ready to
We have
come
somebody
in.
waiting. All right, we have, Cindy M. Cindy M.
Cindy,
Kit Kat.
this one,
Okay.
if we look in our,
You're going kind of blind.
she is,
You're not gonna ever know who the Erin Sullivan is. Who the real Erin Sullivan, please stand.
Yeah, I know
That was
it.
today. Coffee.
Cindy,
That's so funny.
I know.
Cindy Martin.
Cindy Martin, Director of Grants, so she must be involved with this.
Okay.
Now we have to be good. We have to be serious people.
Must we?
We'll try.
You're gonna miss
Okay.
me when I'm gone and it's gonna be dull here.
I appreciate the humor. I do.
I'd still be there.
There. Hello, Cindy.
You're muted.
Muted. Asked to unmute.
Yes,
That's Felicia,
that's Felicia.
the bottom, the next one up.
Oh, there she
There
is.
she is.
Hey,
So,
can see
yeah.
you.
Hi there. Can you hear us?
Yes,
Okay.
so you can see me, you can hear me, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
we
got
can.
you.
Right.
You're all
right.
good.
I hope you knew it was this Cindy, not the other one. Sorry.
Yes, because there's actually an M up there, so we figured as much, and in communicating with Erin, I knew that probably the other Cindy was bowing out of it all. It's time for her to just focus on what she's doing.
Yeah, I mean the stuff that she loves networking too, but the fact that she's able to provide even more time to families directly, I know that our community is better for it too, and she's happy not to
Yeah.
have to do with like fundraising, and she didn't love the fundraising part of it, but
Yeah.
here I am.
Welcome to Eastham, to our group. We can go around quickly. We do have one person who is also remote with you, who's Felice. So she's on screen with you. And I'm Kate, and Kate Berg, and the chair of this, and I'm the one who's communicated with Erin and Cindy, et cetera. And I think you've been included in some of the emails.
Hi Cindy, I'm Hilda Maroli.
Hi, Hilda.
Hi Cindy, I'm Mary Jane Samuel. Beverly Hobbs.
Dee Matfeld,
Ellen Greer.
And Felice, you can,
See something.
yeah,
Felicia,
Her desk.
you're on mute.
okay, she's
She's
on
on
mute.
mute.
But she's
Yeah,
there.
hello.
There
I'm-
she is. Okay.
Are you ladies, and your ladies are like I think I was a ladies, everybody. I'm sorry if I'm wrong. I only see 3 of you. Are
Oh,
you
well,
guys a volunteer committee for the town to decide? Wow, thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you
we
for
are.
your time.
And so our role is, excuse me, advisory. What we do is we look at all the different agencies that have applied to the town for some funding. And we review what has come in the application, and we look at what our budget is, and sort of look at the services that are provided and try to, balance everything out with what has been asked, the amount that's been requested, and what we can provide.
Thank you. This is my first town advisory meeting, so.
Okay.
Ah,
All right.
The
We'll
description.
go easy on you.
Yes, we will.
Thank you.
Good, easy committee.
I'm much better at writing too, so I hope I'm as articulate.
But it always helps if we have a chance to actually hear from the person. I mean, we know that, what's been written in the application, and we know the Children's Place. I know a lot, was involved in as it was beginning. So I
Mhm.
know the Children's Place, but
And I've been there a year now, so I do have a sense of all the different programs we have now,
Yes.
and
And that has
like
been
how they've grown.
right, because it started as just childcare. And it certainly has become, something much bigger, a real resource center for families. So if you want to give us some sense of some of the changes that have happened over the year and some of the programs that are going on, that would be fantastic.
Sure. So I would say in the last 5 years, there's been a lot of growth. Part of it was change in the nonprofit landscape with some organizations. I'm thinking of Cape Cod Child Development. We ended up absorbing some of their towns as well for our parent engagement groups. So our call, we're responding to the need in the community. We the organization stepped up in that way. And then there are also additional opportunities to address substance use disorder in different ways. So we have the First Steps team that has started a couple years ago, and they are on the recovery end of substance use disorder. So if a parent wants support in their recovery journey, they can call up and receive. Some of them receive daily support through texting. At minimum, we try to do twice a month of like a like a decent check-in, usually in person. But it depends on the person and what kind of support they want. And so they not only get support on their journey, of their recovery journey, but also like on their parenting journey. And that can be for parents that don't actually have access to their kids yet, or, maybe the kids are DCF involved. But building up that parent's ability to connect with their child when they do have that opportunity to interact with them, I think is, or at least the studies show that it's fruitful to still have a positive connection. And with some families, we've even been able to help, the team has been able to help the parent get to a place where they're ready to parent and are in recovery, so they can, I feel like earn is not the right word, but earn their children back. I don't know. I don't think that's the right word, but they're in a place where they're ready to be a full-time parent.
That's fantastic, because
Mhm.
that doesn't happen easily
No.
places.
No, it takes a team of support, and figuring out, there's something called the My Portfolio tool where they, it depends on the person how long it takes them to go, but I've tried to put myself through it because there's like it's a book that, like, I think maybe they have an online version too, but they handed me a book, the team. So I was trying to think of it, and it's talking about like, what friends do I have, or in this kind of emergency, like how do I plan things out? And it's just making a plan so that it helps reduce some of the stressors in life when you already have some things figured out ahead of time. And thinking
Sounds like
through
a
about mental
fantastic
health and wellness in a real global way.
Yeah.
Do you help them reconnect with their families? What happens after they now have their children?
They're still able to come, like, be part of the program.
Or
I've asked about that. Like, how do they know when they're done? And they follow the lead of the participant. I mean, sometimes it takes a while for the participant to even warm up, but I know that the team talks about that they like being able to not, like, unfortunately, like in the medical model, like if you miss 3 appointments, like you're done. They give up on you. But our team has the luxury of continuing to try and keep showing up at the door, and because that person said that they wanted it, and we don't go over the boundary, like not stepping out of boundaries, but being like, we're here when you're ready. We're here when you're ready. And like one person took 6 months to even like meet a second time. But I can send the video sometime if you want of Sophie's story. The Department of Public Health made like a beautiful video about it and captured her story and where she's at now and where she was a few years ago when the team first met her. And so she's made, now she has custody of her kids, and it's a long, not a long story, but it's a beautiful story of being able to conquer all the challenges that she's conquered. I'm gonna cry. No,
It sounds like you deserve it. I mean, that is having worked with parents who were in, that all of a sudden there's children. I was a teacher. I was involved particularly with preschoolers, but they all of a sudden were removed from the home for particular reasons and such. And it is,
yeah, we get it.
it's really hard. You can't, to work through all of those pieces. It can't be done alone. And there's a reason why they've removed the children. And,
Right.
and potentially, the Children Family Services, they do want to try to help the parents, but
Right.
I think it's more of this type of real caring situations where, they get multiple chances to, as parents, we all know we didn't do everything right. So, you want another
Right.
chance at trying it again.
Yeah.
So it's really nice to know that that exists, because it's not just, I mean, even for any of the families or any of your programs, that type of support or
Like
thought.
accompaniment sometimes, like sometimes you just need
Yeah.
someone to walk alongside you and
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
I was actually a consumer of their services 10 years ago is how I started the relationship with Cape Cod Children's Place. My oldest is 11 and, you know, started by those like parent-child engagement groups, was struggling with parenting. My son is neurodiverse and so am I. So that mixed together was hard. And Cindy Horgan like walked me through it. I've called her multiple times, like as my kids were growing up, like, what do I do now? I was like, I knew I didn't want to parent the way my parents parented or my husband's parents parented. So it was helpful to
yeah,
have that guidance of like, okay, let's find somewhere in the middle. And
yes,
something that's kind and firm. And so it made a big difference to me. And so then I like worked there as a parent educator for a few years, and then now I'm the director of grants. I did want to circle back to the question about like how do they I'm still actually I can get more clarity for you if you want of like how does it end? Like if a person in First Steps, for example, wants to end the relationship. And I think I just remember them saying like they have like honest conversations, like they can come to the support groups and like, do you want me to still keep checking in with you? I think it like gets lighter and lighter as time goes on. And then they just check if like, you know, are you ready for us to stop stop bugging you? The caseload is about 64 participants right now. But they're actively always trying to get more because we want to reach the people that need that kind of support. And there's still so much stigma around it in our community, as is everywhere in the US. But you know, trying to help break that stigma down too as a team and talking about it as a disease. It's not a choice. So
yeah.
and I did want to circle back to the other side of this, way other side of the spectrum, is the Wellspring project. It's a little hard to understand when I first got there. I was like, what? So it's building, so knowing how important those first 5 years of a child, that brain development is, having that kind of social emotional education and attachment with their caregivers at the school level, but then the school also can help at the parental level. So the Wellspring team is it keeps changing because they keep adding like this different, I think it's 10 or 12 early education and care centers across the Cape now. And they offer a menu of services. It's like training and coaching. And this came from in the past, like a few years ago, or, you know, they saw an escalation of calls from these early education and care centers being like, there's this like problem child, like come fix this child, he's going to get kicked out. And so thinking about it in a more systemic way of how do we provide the tools for the early education and care educators or teachers to better support students that are challenging, and how do you create a culture of resilience in the classroom so that they're learning and like teachers are modeling more of that like self-regulation and calming, like you know, like calming techniques and having a calm down corner. And I remember a quote from when I visited one of the schools, and the teacher was like, they taught us stuff and it actually worked. Like as if this team, like she was surprised that this team had something to offer and help. And she's like surprised. It really works.
Right, but having the training, but adding the coaching afterwards, because so often there's these little things that teachers end up going
Yes.
to, but then to have the follow-up so that you can actually try it in your own classroom with
Right.
kids you deal with daily, and then have somebody sort of observe that and give you pointers or
Right.
suggestions, and that makes it all less threatening for the teacher, and more, they might be more willing to try it. And you know, those kids are often, they're the hard, you know, they're hard to deal with. And all the kids, everybody needs to have some support in helping this, say, one or two children be part of the group, because that's basically what those kids want. They want to be part of what's going on. And everybody can learn how to support them.
Right. And like some of these kids are going through so much. I mean, they've either already been through trauma or seen things. Like I'm just thinking of like a particular family where the child's in the child care center because for 12 hours a day, because, you know, the mom's in a shelter and the shelter's closed. So it's like it's safer to have the child at the early education care center while this shelter's closed. And then that's a long day for the kids, for some of the kids. And anyway, so the going back to like how to jump from that, like providing that kind of coaching to teachers on building the teacher resilience to teach them to build the children's resilience. And then by increasing the resilience in children, then we can I have a master's in public health. So it's like the logic model of like, if you build a child's resilience, then the longer term outcome is someone that delays substance use initiation. Like the age of trying drugs is a little later. They have, it's just like a lot of other healthy outcomes if you have more resilience, like
Yeah.
pro-social behavior and self-regulation. So it's like starting very early for substance use prevention. I mean, it's only one part of it. You know, there's also genetics and environmental factors and other parts of it, but at least so much good can come out of having kids that are more resilient.
Absolutely. I mean, it's not going to be a negative outcome.
Yeah.
No matter what, it's worth it. And it's also, it just leads to a better atmosphere and everything. You know, it's much more positive.
And so that's only been in implementation for 1 year. So there was like a planning year or two from the Department of Public Health. And then 2024 was the first time that they're like, well, I guess they were in our center in Eastham the year before, I think, but like spreading out and having all these centers like welcome the team in. And it was 2024 was the first year that we were in other towns. Oh, sorry, I should talk about Eastham only, sorry.
But still, I mean, it started out in the children's Eastham for Eastham families, and then quickly ended up becoming more regional. And as you know, it took on more grant work, different grants and such, and it began to grow and move outward to be more of a family resource center with all of the different agencies that come in to the center and whatever, and parents, you know, to really help parents in so many different ways besides actual physical caring of their child, you know, while they're trying to work.
They do such a good job there. Like just as a parent, I love, like, my desk is like right at the school, and like I wish my kids had gone to preschool there. I was like, I should have started working here earlier, because the way that they're able to like redirect or like bring some joy into it, or like, you know, validate feelings. Like, I'm just like, wow, like they're craftsmen. Like I wish every kid could have that experience. You guys you're so lucky to have that in Eastham.
Yeah.
Cindy, can I ask you a question? It's really a little more about the nuts and bolts of how you get your clients. Are you ever court ordered to participate in your programs, or, you know, through substance abuse or domestic, violence or that sort of thing? So do you have to work with the courts?
We do, to some extent. They lean on us, and they're like, can you be part of this plan? Like, you know, DCF is like, can they go, like, as the parent, so I do the parent education in Spanish. I know I don't look it, I'm a stealth Latina, but I speak native Spanish and English. Anyway, so I mean, it doesn't matter the language, but when I did the parent education classes, there's usually a couple people that were court ordered to be there as part of their plan, but they were honestly very engaged as well. Like I don't know, I guess that's my own bias, but I was surprised that like they wanted to be there. They were hungry for the information and appreciated to like talk with us about it. So I don't know, I was pleasantly surprised. I hear other people like, oh, that must be so hard. And I'm like, no, actually, they're just like everybody else. Like the parents, they love their kids and they're trying to figure out how to either get them back or, do the best they can. In general, how do we get people?
Yeah, is it mostly self-referral or?
It's
schools?
mostly self-referral, so we do use un against Cindy Horgan's wishes, we use a lot of social media now to get our messages out. I know she's not super she doesn't love the tech, so we still have like the way people initiate contact is still through a phone, which I think it has some benefits that you're getting to talk to a human. So I appreciate that, but that we do have more social media presence on Instagram and on Facebook to target the different generations. So like I'm 40, so I'm more in the Facebook group, but the people that are in their 20s are more in the Instagram. So we have 2 team members that a tiny part of their job is to like pump that stuff out, to let people know about the parent engagement groups. That feels like the easiest way to start people in a conversation. And then once they're involved in those parent engagement groups, a lot of times they'll get referred to other things like me. Like I was struggling and then they referred me to parent education, and they kind of had to work on me a couple times because to get over that, like, I should know how to do this. Like, I don't need to go to a class, but I'm struggling. And, but they're like, no, it's okay. Like, this isn't easy. Like, come be part of this community. And it was like, oh, okay. So that's one way. For first steps, they target places like organizations and I think physical places of like where people with substance use disorder might be. Their outreach team is a lot more aggressive about being like where people would be. I know that they have like a process like that they like check off like, okay, we're in this town today and this town tomorrow, and even in P town and different points, have like the data for each town of what that program is a lot harder because people are not as housing secure. Where did it go? So when I asked about that for them, yeah, they were just like, they didn't have anybody in Eastham right now. So they're just like, in general, there's a couple people in Outer Cape, but more of it is Mid Cape because that's where there's more services. For folks.
So you just
sure.
have the office in Eastham, right? Is that your only
Yeah.
office?
We have 2 now.
Okay.
So the First Steps team is primarily based in the Yarmouth office. It's like a rented tiny space. It's like two little offices with like a conference room table. So that's the one in Yarmouth, but the headquarters is in Eastham. But because we serve the First Steps team serves from Bourne to P Town, they needed like a little bit more central of a place.
Cindy, you said that your fiscal situation is changing because the American Rescue, maybe you didn't say that, but whoever wrote your
I wrote it. Yeah. Well, I mean, Erin reviewed it and gave
The
us
ARPA funds, yeah.
Yeah, that ends in June 2025.
Okay, what did that support and how will you maintain those services without those funds?
My understanding is that there's like 2 things, I think, but 2 main things, but the major chunk. So I think it was like $300,000 over 2 or 3 years. And so the bulk of that I think went to Wellspring this past year, if I'm correct. So anyway, a bulk of it went to First Step, Wellspring. So that's the program where people are going into these early education and care centers. And then another chunk of it was like direct to families, like, people calling, being like, I don't know what to do. I can't pay this bill, like, or, they need diapers or whatever. So it was like, we call it like concrete supports. So that was another chunk of like getting it out into the community to like help people keep them afloat during really, this tough time of like, rising costs of living, and we're still getting those calls, but that money is running out. So that is a challenge. What are we doing? They hired me to do more grant writing. I'm specifically trying to learn a lot more about DAFs, donor advised funds, and like how can we connect with people in the community that have a lot of financial resources. So that's part of it. They have, because like there used to be more of a push for not push, but like for people who wanted to do philanthropy, they would have foundations. But over the last 10 or 15 years, there's been more donor advised funds through either Keep Cod Foundation or just through Fidelity. And it's harder to connect with folks like that. So I'm learning more about it, like how do we get our name out there so people know that they could donate to us through their DEAF? The challenge is that they don't actually have to donate any money out of it. So if you were a foundation, you had to give 5% out each year. As the law stands right now, the money, they get the tax break, but the money just sits there. So I'm trying to learn, like, how do we involve folks in the community that have a little more to share? Like, how do we tell them about the work that we're doing?
Well, this is
Let me
for me.
know.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, donor advised funds and that level of charitable giving is really
Mhm.
predominating in the arts and cultural area. And you might want to check with people, let's say, just as an example, for example, the Cape Cod Symphony or other cultural groups that you get money from these types of funds for their cultural activities. And they might be able to either give you suggestions of people or organizations to contact. And the other thing is, I assume your organization has an accountant or somebody that manages your finances.
Yeah, we have a bookkeeper.
Well, a bookkeeper is, you need to get, for example, or at least consult with a CPA, certified public accountant, because that individual would have the type of information that you need to target the funds that would be interested in supporting you. Because a lot of them support cultural organizations, but they don't necessarily support human services organizations.
But they have a couple of bankers on the,
Yeah, and I think that's the direction.
they're the ones, they would have some sense of.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, that's the direction that I think you need to go to for that type of funding.
but.
Thank you. I don't know if they will offer that kind of information, but hopefully they can play nice.
Well, I think, they always like to talk about the good they do, all of these organizations. And I mean, there are many of the same companies that you see, let's say, when Channel 2, when WGBH is giving a list of donors, there are many of the same companies, and they have set up specifically for this purpose.
And
You
so the
just,
bank
you
might not
need,
share regular names, but they could give her
yeah,
direction to go in and sort of how to approach it.
right, right.
But, yeah. Because I'm sure you've talked to Cape Associates in Eastham.
I think that they're
involved.
giving, yeah, I think, yeah. I'm like, I feel like they just offered something, if I remember correctly. I'm sorry to interrupt, but the ED, I didn't realize she was texting me. So Erin Sullivan
She
was like, I can't get in. So I don't know if there's something to check on your end.
There she is.
There she is. Thank you for. Okay.
Oh, well, maybe I get to see her, see if she
Yeah,
might.
we can get to see it on. Yeah. No.
It
Hey, Erin, I'm so
is,
sorry.
it's my Erin Sullivan.
Oh,
You know her.
See you again.
how are you? Sorry, I'm not sure what happened there.
I wasn't watching to see and didn't realize that you were trying to get in until Cindy said something, so.
I know, I'm sorry, I didn't see my text. I was just trying to
It's
answer
okay.
the
I just
questions.
sent it. I was finally like, what's going on?
We've covered a lot of ground. We've talked about Wellspring and first steps
Great.
and the
I'm
school.
sure I'm very confident in Cindy's ability to,
Thank you.
represent the agency and let you know all what's going on. So
Thanks.
Welcome to the children's, to Eastham, to the children's place. I mean,
thank you.
I mean, it's, I'm sure there's times that you feel that, Cindy's ghost beside you, and even though she's still around and involved, that you, she had left a reputation.
Right. She has a huge legacy for sure, a huge legacy. And I'm just really honored to be able to follow in her footsteps and continue the great work that happens at the Children's Place. And really thanks to Eastham for, you helped us start it all from the beginning. So we really appreciate that.
If I could go back to the question that they were just asking me, and I'm sure Erin can give a more detailed response. So that if I may, I think the question was related to ARPA. Like, what did ARPA fund, and what is our plan for replacing those funds? And so I said it was like Wellspring plus like concrete supports is what I think it funded, and then moving forward, continuing to do grant writing as well as exploring making more connections with like folks with donor advice funds, and someone was giving me advice to connect with cultural organizations on the Cape because a lot of them do a lot of recruiting or a lot of fundraising that way. Anyway, so if you want to say any more to that.
Yeah, I think what we've seen with the Wellspring project is that it's something that we're very committed to continuing just in the limited time that they've been interacting with early educators, children and families throughout the different care centers on the Cape. They're just having, even though there's not a lot of quantitative detail or data that's coming out, there's a lot of anecdotal data that's coming that and one of the things that they're noticing is that children are not leaving programs, and programs are really working with children and families who have difficult and challenging behaviors to keep them where they are. And that is just so important to keep that consistency with young children. And so knowing that is happening already in the short time that we've been doing this work, we'll work very diligently to make sure that we maintain some type of presence and funding for that work.
That having been involved in a class, having been an educator, I mean, it is wonderful to have that type of thing, and to get the anecdotes, then you know that it's working, because all the little data and checking off all the little boxes, one thing, but it's when the teacher smiles and said it made a difference, and then you know that it really, is a wonderful, a welcome thing. And it does need more time
Exactly.
For a center to really take it on, to then pass it on to any new educators that might come along too. So if you can figure out how to maintain it, it's going to help all the kids on the Cape.
Exactly.
We will have quantitative data that's like evidence-based. It's just that it's measuring children at every 6 months. So it's like we've just started. We're like training and then doing the evaluation. So it's just going to take some time to get more data.
Yeah. And I know all the data is wonderful, but there's times that as I said, it's the smile on the teacher's face and the, relief that makes a difference. But, so as in Eastham, I mean, we're lucky to have the center right here in town, and, so that it is something that our parents do know about. And we have, besides money that we give to you, the town does provide some funding to help some families. Tuitions too.
Which is amazing. Very progressive. Thank you.
Well, to keep the young people here, because we need families. We need their parents working in the places they work, and also just to keep our town having, younger people in it.
Sure.
We're great but we do need the balance. I don't know.
Well, healthy families make healthy
Yes.
people and a healthy community. So I really am impressed with the programming you have here and fully support it.
Yeah.
So we'll give you as much money as we can. Can you
Feel
see
free to
me? Erin,
above
can you
that.
see me? Erin,
Pardon?
can you see me?
Yes, I can.
Do you remember me? I'm Ellen Greer. We
Oh
worked
my,
together at Berkshire Medical
oh
Center.
my God. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. All right, Ellen, I'm gonna look you up so we can get
Yes.
coffee. Oh my
Okay.
gosh,
All
that's
right. Yes,
amazing.
definitely. Yes.
Have to
It's
go
good to
visit.
see you.
You'll have to go visit her at the children's place, because it's.
I
worth
will.
taking a
I
visit.
will. Yeah. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
right. I can
anytime.
come see you.
Yeah.
That would be great
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Good to see you.
Yeah.
to see you. Oh, that's funny.
Because she was wondering, because I know another Erin Sullivan who lives in town, and I really didn't think that she was, the person who took over the children's place.
But I knew it was you because I could tell by the language that was written on the grant. I was like, that sounds so familiar. This evidence-based, the data-driven stuff. I love it. Back in the day.
Right. We have a good team, so we all think very much alike on that.
That's
So
Great.
Watch
yeah.
out, because they'll be getting you out.
That's
right.
Getting those grants
Oh, it's
from
great.
them
That's
and
great
such,
work.
so.
I love
That's
family
great.
work. I think it's excellent.
But as a committee, we have to look at our budget and our,
Of course.
et cetera, but we do look to see how it, what services are provided and the number of families that are impacted and such. And certainly the children's place is something that's very dear to our hearts here in Eastham. So, we do, we have to live within our budget, and we will be making recommendations to the town administrator and the select board, and they're the ones who have the final say. And it goes into the budget and gets voted on at town meeting. And then it's all for funding that begins after July 1st. But at this point, you're already receiving funds, and I'm sure that you get quarterly letters, and you get your funding through them on a regular basis.
I'm sorry we're like wrapping up, but I was just thinking of another service that we haven't talked about as much, of like that one-on-one family support. I'm just thinking of actually like a person today that is from Eastham that is asking for help. It's a great grandfather that's taking care of 4 of his great grandchildren, and he's in custody. And so we get those kind of calls as well, of a grandparent or even great grandparent that is in custody of kids, and they're trying to figure out how to best support those kids. Some of them have gone through some traumatic things, or, it feels like a different age. Like, do you let them have phones or not? And like, how do you parent them nowadays? And, it's just, so they call us, or mostly Cindy Horgan, and the team for the Family Support Services team to get that support and navigating like what to do and what resources can we get access to better,
But it's wonderful that there was a place to call, and this is where having the person answer the phone at the other end, I'm sure made a great deal of difference to that great grandparent. Because at that point, they needed a human voice, that feels overwhelming to have 4 children, and all of a sudden. But yet those kids are going to be lucky if they have a family member that they can at least land with for a while, and then if having the children's place to at least begin helping them.
So they're not so alone.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Huge.
It's very massive and such. But thank you, because that's a great anecdote to really know that what you're doing is really making a difference to Eastham families.
Yeah, definitely.
And such.
And the community.
So, we thank you for coming and joining us tonight, and we appreciate your time. And we take into account everything, but it sounds like you're doing great stuff there. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Nice
you.
to see
We
you.
appreciate your support.
All right.
Good night.
All right, take care. And Ellen, I'll see you soon.
I hope so.
Okay, great. Bye-bye.
Bye.
It's great.
Yeah, that's
That's great.
awesome.
It's so fun.
You know what, I actually
With the
emailed,
open-
yeah, I emailed her at this email address a few weeks ago, well, when she was first gonna come. And I never heard back from her. I said, oh, she must have
There
thought,
was
"Well, what is this
something- the
weird
reason-
woman like
Yeah.
stalking
You know.
me or something?
Well, no, but what, the reason she ended up not being able to come, because I'm not sure, she's had, somebody in the family had surgery and she ended up having to
Okay,
back out of that day.
Yeah.
And that's why Cindy Horgan was gonna come. So potentially she was in the middle of all of that
okay.
when that happened.
Oh, yeah, no, I was excited.
Excuse
No.
me, Kate, what was the last name of Cindy, the first present?
Martin. Cindy Martin.
Oh,
M.A.
Martin. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, it's in the grant if you dig deep.
Right, okay. I'm just doing this now.
Yeah. But thank you for checking on that. So, that, they are doing, it's amazing.
Oh, that's great.
Because,
Programs are amazing.
yeah, I was
I would
involved
love to
when
have
they,
those things to
this,
refer people
the
to.
preschool was at the elementary school and I ran it.
Uh-huh.
Set it up every day, took it down every day, et cetera, et cetera. Finally got enough money to build the center.
Wow.
We wrote some grants, had somebody write us some big grants, got the center built, and it was just daycare. And eventually, as Cindy Horgan took over, it became more of adding on some of the parenting pieces and then even additions and redoing parts of it and such. And it really has just become this big thing. So Cape Cod Child Development used to do the young kids, like Head Start and that type of thing, but as they have backed away, Children's Place has taken over a lot of it.
It's a draft coming down here. It's like air conditioning blowing in on this side.
So it has really changed and grown, and it's amazing what they do. I mean, the
Yeah.
fact that this, somebody
Great-grandfather.
suggested to them,
Great grandfather.
yeah, a great grandfather. But they are gonna walk away from that phone call. A bigger agency, someplace might say, well, you need to call this place. Cindy Horgan's probably already talked to this person and met them, and such, and we'll figure out, depending on the ages, what they can do.
You're not gonna do anything with the non-English speaking public? I was gonna ask
Yes,
her
they
that.
have, some of the parenting groups are in like 4 different languages.
Yeah,
And
what
such.
a-
Yeah.
I was
She
saying,
said Spanish, she said
Spanish, English,
Haitian,
well,
People
Like
Portuguese.
Haitian,
yeah.
yeah.
Portuguese.
And
And maybe
maybe
Haitian.
Haitian.
Jamaican.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. That would be it. Creole.
Creole or something,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
and the
that would be
Brazilians
it.
and such, so, yeah, they do,
And I struggle with
and
English.
so there are, there's these little parenting groups or activity groups at different places all around too. Library has one and such, so. But anyway, so we've had those two, it's a great way to come back. too.
Excellent,
Yeah. Oh,
yeah,
they
It's
Amazing.
sort of my thought, it's like, yeah, I think that's what we need to.
That's amazing
Um,
stuff, yeah.
And then.
Amazing amount
so
of money.
Next week, we have site law services.
Is Rhonda coming in?
Yeah, Ron's going to, should be coming, I think. Because there was someone else, but she's the one who ended up responding to me, and AIDS support services.
Those are our last two,
And,
or
Hmm?
those are our last two?
our Cape Health,
Oh, okay.
which we have to talk with them, and I was gonna do them totally separately on the 22nd. So I haven't contacted Outer Cape Health, but I do have confirmed times for the AIDS support group is the first at 6:45 and site law services Rhonda at 7:30
So next week is like
Next
what?
week.
Okay.
Yeah,
And the following
then
week is out
the-
of Cape.
is Outer Cape. I'll get a hold of them and
Is Jackie ever gonna come, Jackie, Phoebe?
I don't know. I'm going to email her tomorrow and try to pin her down or get her to.
Yep.
I'll go in and sit and talk with her.
I don't know how I'm getting noise on this.
Yeah, she's getting super.
I'm sorry.
Somehow something's a video on or something.
I shouldn't let old people have a phone.
It's there's somebody living in it.
Living in it. Oh my God.
Do you know what I'm actually gonna do? Do you know anything about the Part-Time Residents Association? There's a part-time residence. in
Yes,
each city,
right.
Yes.
Well, they're always looking for some way to, how do I say this in a nice way?
Infiltrate.
Give money away?
Not infiltrate, make nice waves in
Right.
town.
No, they are. They're
No,
really
no,
trying
that's
to.
all.
Make Nice waves in
Yeah.
town,
Really?
because
No,
they have
thank you.
a bad reputation sometimes, because some people in town.
They've been argumentative sometimes in the past.
Yes, and like the RTE is always a big thing with them. So I'm gonna mention to them. These are
To
all
this-
non-residents who might have discretionary funds.
Right.
Second
Mhm.
homeowners. Give them, at the end of like in July, they have a big meeting. So at that meeting, I know they do a food thing, they bring food. No, food is one thing, money goes a long way, so maybe gift cards. Get gift cards for Target, for all these places that, if nothing else, these organizations can give them out at Christmas time.
Yes.
And then let it be known that it came from the
Oh, that's
part-time
wonderful.
residents.
Mhm.
And then people might look at them a little differently, that, sometimes,
Mm.
for a while I was on their board too, and it became a little awkward because it was like,
You're
I was
moving
a
everybody.
part-timer, but now I'm a full-timer, and it's like, I don't hate you, and
Yeah, yeah.
but, it's kind of like you against them, and it's
Mhm.
like, especially the RTE, they always go
Oh my
crazy
God.
about
Yeah,
this,
there
and
was a
it's like,
big thing at town
They
hall
have different interests though.
on Monday night.
Yeah.
Monday night, it was a
Yeah,
huge,
we paid
I
for that, 'cause-
watched it, I
yeah.
watched it last.
Yeah, I didn't.
But I knew about it from years ago because, we used to have to write things and then people were, I have to say, some people were really bad about it. It's like, really, guys, they're just people who are trying to live on the Cape.
I know.
And
You, right,
they're
you
just-
have your second
and
home.
see, that's what it is. And for some people,
Because my family
One
has a
second.
second home and it's not just my husband and I, it's my siblings
So a
and
lot of
we
people
have it
tell
and
me
it's
feel
not
that way.
fancy and it doesn't, so it's not like,
it isn't,
but
sometimes they
there
feel
are
that
some
way.
people who
Yeah, they
have
feel
a
that way.
second home and it's definitely, and maybe a third one and
Yeah.
whatever.
Oh, yeah.
They were talking about, it's really.
Okay.
Dave and I went, because Dave
Oh,
is
did you
the
go?
chair of the Board of Assessors.
Oh,
Yeah, so
I watched it tonight,
I
because
had
I
to
thought,
sit
let me.
there and I'm thinking like not all, because we had a second home.
Mhm.
We came in that way.
We couldn't live here full time because I couldn't get a good job.
Right.
So we went and we got a triple family in Worcester,
Mhm.
which was not how I wanted to live.
But
No,
that's how you were
that's
able
But I
to.
had to get a job, full-time job up in Worcester.
Yeah.
And then we rented the house out in the summer just so that we could keep it.
We're offline.
Mhm,
We're off.
No,
And I wanted to say that,
okay.
not all
should we-
people, should we?
Yeah.
Adjourn the meeting?
Adjourn,
I move we adjourn.
okay.
I second.
Second,
Okay.
and any
All in favor?
objections?
No.
No.
Aye.
All right, the meeting is now officially adjourned.